Right, it is. It totally is. So, well, I mean, I guess this is apropos for us to be talking about air pollution. Going to talk about smoking and quitting the habit. So,
Yep,
it's a perfect lead. And are you ready to roll? Are you good?
I'm good.
Okay, good.
Let's do it.
Great. Yeah, excellent. It was great to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of getting into my journey into non-smoking and getting rid of the habit as we kind of peel back the layers here.
Oh,
But to be
perfect.
but to begin with, I want to know as we enter a new year, one of the biggest things that we went through was this pandemic, and it was kind of a fork in the road to figure things out. So talk to me a little bit about any kind of reverberations from that time period that you're living through right now, and how that changed your life.
Yeah, so it was a tough thing for addiction because I felt like I started when I was really young. So like during the pandemic, I was, already fully set in my ways and everything, but it's like I had no check on anything. I was just at home all day, available to smoke as much as I want and drink as much as I want. And so I like went hard in it. I went as far as you can go and I finally like realized when I got to the bottom, I'm like, this is doing nothing for me. Like I'm not relaxed. I'm not happy. Like I'm done with this. So
Yeah.
it actually kind of pushed me to rethink my life and like imagine something better that I could be doing with my time and energy and focus. And it also really helped me solidify with my partner, my now husband, because, we're together all day and just got to like really connect and like I don't know. I guess we did had some fun. It wasn't all just partying. Like we were like reading books to each other and stuff. So it was kind of a cool thing. I was really fortunate that I wasn't affected by it like others. I didn't have to, go through any sickness or death in my small little world, and I was able to keep my job at home. So I was definitely one of the more fortunate people. Just got to, explore myself more with it and have more time. But it also kind of shook up, like I think it affected everybody because it's like nothing's secure as you think it is.
Absolutely. Yeah, the
Yeah.
control we think we have. So let's get to the heart and soul of what you do on a daily basis here in 2025. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of grade school kids. It's career day. And let's say, they're 10, 11 years old. One of the kids in the back of the room is like, hey, what do you do for a living? How do you answer them?
I help smokers quit smoking like I did. And I do it by helping people figure out what's their underlying drive to smoke. And most of the work I'm saying I do this, I do that, but a lot of the work is just kind of like asking questions of people and people figuring it out for themselves because you can't make anybody do anything. So it's about helping people figure out what's going on in their mind and in their heart so that they can make choices that enrich their life about smoking.
So talk to me a little bit about what you wanted to be when you grew up. When you were in the third grade, what was your dream?
Scientist. I was obsessed with science as a kid, and I pursued that, through college. And I got a job as a land surveyor working with math and science and measurements, and it brought me no fulfillment. So I needed to change. Yeah.
So kind of take me back to where you were born and raised, and what were some of the seeds and kind of motivations for you to get to this point where you're helping people stop smoking and even the science and all of that. How did this kind of evolve in your life?
Yeah. So I grew up in a small town and where everybody knew everybody, and there wasn't a lot to do. And I was always kind of an oddball. I was a goth. That's what they called me.
Yeah.
And I got bullied a lot by my classmates. And when I was going into middle school, that critical time where you're trying to find your identity. And so I started hanging out with an older crowd, the high school kids, and they all smoked. And I was like, oh, cool. I want to smoke too. So that's how I got into smoking. I fell into it hard. Like I said, it was pretty much my main activity throughout high school and into college too. But yeah, I kind of had like this negative thought pattern with it too, where I was like very cut off from any possibility of like religion. I had really bad experiences with religion. And so I kind of just like rejected all of that and was like, science is the way, full atheist, full nihilism, random universe, no purpose. kind of perspective. And so that really held me down. So I was able to kind of like start changing my life and my view of myself and having like self-worth and feeling like that I might have a purpose in this life. Through like I like started getting introduced to spiritual ideas after college, and that's when I really kind of shifted. And I was like, maybe science isn't where it's all at. There's something more to life than just numbers.
I was a smoker. So that the weird thing, one of the most disappointing things I ever heard my dad say to me was all of us kids smoked. And he was so disappointed because I was the one that wasn't going to. I ran cross country in high school. I was very health minded and all of that. And I got into journalism in my 20s and started smoking. But he smoked a lot. And it's like
Hmm.
that whole do as I say, not as I do. Well, as I went through my 20s, I smoked a lot. I loved it. I absolutely loved smoking. I finally got to the point where I was getting ready to have a child. And I'm like, the last thing I'm going to do is have to deal with that. And plus, I didn't want to smoke anymore. It was killing me. I just felt it.
Yeah.
So I remember when I quit smoking, I had a journal and I would write down, I would chew gum, I would just do this thing. If I felt the urge, I would write. But I remember going through and doing this extensive research on all of the things, the pictures that were even grotesque about how it would affect your lungs and all of that. And I remember looking into the history of like the Marlboro Man, the Camel guy, the Winston guy. They all died early on. They
Hmm.
all were totally ravaged by it. And it's like when you look through, like, there's like 90 chemicals that are in there, and there's all of these things. But I remember I would hang up pictures around my apartment of all of these images of lungs and all of this. And I just really went through a hardcore period of just absolutely flushing it out of my system. But it is one of those things that everybody has a reason for it. And I think it's like the stages of grief. It just develops over time
Oh
as to
yeah.
why you're doing it.
Yeah, that stuff never worked for me. I knew that going in. Like I said, I was into science. I was a smart kid in a lot of ways, but for me, smoking was always an emotional thing.
Yeah.
And like I said, I originally got into it trying to find a sense of community and identity, so it's kind of like an initiation in a lot of ways, that I could be a part of something. I was around adults that smoked as a kid. Like it always kind of like you can always kind of see it as like a normal thing.
Yeah.
It's just what adults do.
Yeah.
And I started like really getting this attachment to it that I would just, anytime I had a feeling I didn't want, I would want to smoke.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to realize that, like I said, not until I started like doing self-awareness that I was like, what is going on here? Like, and that's when my cravings would happen. I could like clearly link that. Like whenever I was like, ooh, like I'm mad at myself, I failed, I have some regret here, anything like lonely, anything like that, that's when I would want to smoke. So it was always very emotional for me. And it's like the beliefs you have can override any facts, So it's like, this is going to help me feel better. That strong belief, like it doesn't matter if I get cancer, you know,
Yeah.
however
Yeah.
many years from now, or none of that stuff actually like felt relevant because it's like, I want to feel better right now,
Yeah.
So I had to get to the point where I'm like, it's not going to make me feel better.
Yeah.
It's not going to make this problem go away. And
Uh-huh.
if anything, I'm just going to feel worse because it's damaging, and then I'm building this cycle deeper and deeper of like being dependent on it emotionally. So,
Well, even the cost now, like when I was smoking, I mean, this was a long time ago. I remember
oh yeah.
I got cheaper like Doral lights, and they were like, I don't know, maybe $2 at most. And I'm looking at packs today
Hmm.
because of all of the taxes that have been levied against tobacco companies. I mean, isn't it like 9, 10, $11 a pack?
Yeah, it depends on where you are a lot too. So when I started smoking, it was $4. And so as a 13-year-old, coming up with $4, every other day is hard.
Yeah, yeah.
So I did what I needed. I had a paper route. I got my cigarette money. And then by the time I quit, it was up to, I think it was like 9.50, but I was in a city and I was just, yeah.
And you know what the weird thing about it is that the tobacco companies prey on the lower socioeconomical people
Hmm.
that can't afford it. And how people afford it. Like if you had a carton a week and a half habit, I mean a carton has to be, I don't know, what, 10 packs in there? Almost 100 to $150. That's insane.
Yeah, it's kind of wild because I've definitely been broke. And it doesn't matter how poor you are, you can afford cigarettes somehow.
That's it.
I
I
don't
totally get it.
know. Yeah, yeah.
I totally get it. So who's been kind of a hero for you on this journey of you finding getting rid of smoking and helping people get to that point? Who has been that bedrock for you?
So I'm kind of like carving this way my own. So it's more of the spiritual people that have really helped me. Michael Meade, he's a mythic storyteller, absolutely changed my life. He tells these myths, and you start to understand life entirely differently.
Yeah,
Like these ancient people really had a grasp on our psychology and our needs as humans, and so that really helped me understanding that I had these different archetypes that I was living out and could call on to take on different roles. So like help me understand that it's just an ego. It's like a little mask we wear and you can change it.
yeah.
And there's something worthwhile and golden within us that's like calm, steady, centered, knows exactly what to do. And so I also really admire Greg Braden. He does a lot of work with the heart. And that's what helped me understand that I could tune into my heart's wisdom, my intuition, my compassion to work through the struggle of addiction, like overcoming all those emotional blocks that I was putting up for myself, and that my heart actually had all the answers. And if I could just get out of my crazy head, it's going to make all these excuses and all these worries and fears. And, it really helped me work through that. So I definitely appreciate those guys.
The one thing about quitting smoking is it's one of the hardest addictions out there. Like I think gambling is number one, like as far as like psychologically what it does to you. Heroin's right up there. Cigarette smoking is definitely up there. And I remember my dad when he quit before he had heart surgery, and he always said that every night after he quit, he'd have a dream of him smoking a cigarette. It was that much of a love affair in his life that he just dreamed about it all the time.
Mhm.
What residual have you had from there? Have you had any residuals from quitting it?
I don't miss it at all. And I think
Okay.
that's like kind of a rough thing for me because when I was young, I had known a couple people that had quit, just a couple, not a lot.
Yeah.
And they missed it. They're like, oh, I love the smell of it. Let me hang around and smell it. And it's just kind of like made me feel hopeless about it. I was like, I'm not going to bother quitting if I just want to smoke every day.
Yeah, right.
Like, what's the difference at that point? Other, I
Yeah.
guess, than the money and the cancer. But that was my rationalization. And you can actually, or at least I've gotten to a place that I don't miss it at all because I have changed the way that I see myself, that I actually have love for myself now.
Yeah.
And so it's like, why would I hurt myself? I have no desire to do that. And like I said, I changed the limiting beliefs I had that I was actually gaining anything from smoking. Now I'm just like, no, it's pure loss.
Yeah.
And then another part of that too is that the things I thought that I needed smoking for, I actually don't at all. Like, oh, connecting with friends or relaxing. Like, there's so many other ways that you can do that that are actually like more effective. Like if I'm stressed, I drink water now. That like works way better than a cigarette. It's like I'm
Yeah.
dehydrated.
Yeah.
Like I've been able to understand myself more fully that I know that I don't need or want cigarettes. And honestly, I feel like a kind of a jerk sometimes because the smell makes me sick now.
Me
So I'm one of those
too.
people that's like PU and like I used to hate,
Yeah.
I'm that person now. I don't like to be around it. It makes me have a headache and just feel kind of nauseous.
It's bad. I remember one time, I don't know if you remember that, but there was airports that would have like a little vestibule that people could smoke.
Oh, yeah.
I remember going into Denver and there was like this glass thing, and I'm thinking the whole time, this is the place where people go to get mountain air. They get that good altitude air. And ironically, we were in this airport, and it was the most wretched place I'd ever been in. I literally thought, like, I've been in bars and places where it's concentrated, but when I
Yeah.
came out of that, every inch of me permeated with just someone dumped a bucket of tar on me. It was awful. It was really
Yeah, not
bad.
a fun place to be. And
No,
yeah, burning your
no.
eyes and yeah, I know that whole bit.
Yeah, it's terrible. So, what is it every day that makes you wake up to do this work? I mean, when people are in the throes of addiction, it's heavy. There's heavy stories that go along with that. What makes you consistently do this work and then balance things out to evolve as a human being yourself?
There's just so much to learn and to explore. I just like want to go deeper and learn more. And it's not like a teacher or a guru relationship where I'm just like on high and know everything. Like I'm working through this stuff myself, and hearing what other people are thinking helps me understand more about myself and learn more about myself. So it feels like a mutual thing where we can actually just like talk it through and help each other understand how we can be more closely aligned with like our authentic self, like who we really want to be beneath like all the expectations. Because that's something that like comes up again and again is like negative self-talk with expectations. That's why people turn to something to try to, escape that. But it's like you can just be yourself and let that go. And
Yeah.
it's a hard road. It's way easier said than done. It's like the scariest thing in the world to be yourself,
Yeah. Yeah.
really. But yeah, and I just want to share what I've known. Like it's all on people to do what they want to do with their lives. You can't make anyone quit. You
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
It has to be a personal decision. But I wrote a book. That's mostly my work is that I wrote a book. I do some content and interact with people there. But my book is just to help you give you tools to help you kind of figure out what's going on for you so that you can go through the work yourself. It's not like a quick fix that a lot of people do in smoking cessation programs. They're like, I mean, like on the internet, I see it's like, oh, you just like blow through this little whistle or you sniff this thing, you take a patch, you take a pill, you do hypnotherapy. Like there's all these kind of like crazy gimmicks out there, but I don't really run with that. I'm like, do the hard work, figure out what's going on, and then it's going to last.
It's interesting. I remember when I was going through the process of getting away from the habit, I kept thinking we are the only animal ever that does this.
Yep.
We are supposedly the most intelligent, and to spend all of this money to do something that no other animal would even think about doing was just absolutely insane to me. I mean, when you break down the simplicity of the habit of what you're doing, it's like, why would anybody do that? You know?
Yeah.
But it's just another stage of coming to the realization that it's just something you shouldn't do.
Yeah, consciousness is like a double-edged sword because we have so much capacity for like empathy and compassion, but then we also have that part that can just like turn on yourself and drive yourself crazy. That's
Yeah.
why like, it helps to get out of the mind. The mind is just a tool for us to use.
Yeah.
It's not who we are.
Yeah.
So it gets caught on these cycles too, just these repetitive thoughts. And that's like the biggest clue to where you want to like kind of take apart some of the beliefs and put your work into is like, why does this thought come up 300 times a day? And when you smoke, that thought's coming up 300
Yeah.
times a day. Like,
Uh-huh.
so that helps me now. I still have those kind of repetitive thoughts, but I have like some more tools now to get out of it and to just rethink like kind of like a beginner's mind is a term they use in Buddhism where it's like how can I just look at this like completely different,
Yep.
and it really opens you up to more possibilities and potential.
So if you had a dream tonight and ran into a much younger version of you, let's say 18 years old, and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've led, the wisdom you've gained, what advice would you give your younger self?
You don't have to play their game. It's not about competition. It's not about approval. You can approve of yourself and find the love you need for yourself within you. Uh, Looking for things external will never be satisfying to you. Like you can find the happiness from within you.
So if all of the things that you've done and evolved into and accomplished in your life, what are you the proudest of?
My daughter. I'm a new mom. She's 1.5,
Nice.
and it's just been a dream come true for me. I never would have imagined this life. Like I said, I had a lot of negative thinking in my younger years. Couldn't even imagine that I was going to make it to 30.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna, go out in a blaze of glory here. Like I'm
Yeah.
ready to go hard, be wild.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get married. I didn't want to settle down. And I'm happier than I have ever been in my life. This is my golden time right now. I don't want to, that sounds kind of pessimistic because I know it can keep getting better, but it's just been so good. And I absolutely love being a mother.
So that's the amazing thing that kids like the catalyst for me was having my son Miles. He's 20 now. And it's amazing how they will change everything. They will put a glow on things that you never knew was even possible.
Yes.
So it's a great thing. So let me ask you this. Everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, everyone around you. But at the end of the day, you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Um, like I said, it's definitely beneath this ego stuff. Like I think I'm a divine person full of love and light, meant to be happy. That's like my duty is to be happy.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
absolutely.
that I have all the answers within me that all I need to do is to go deeper with it. And kind of like, I used to think that like self-improvement was all about like, oh, I'm not good enough and I need to try harder and do better and learn more and practice and all this kind of things. But like, I'm finding more and more that I just need to let stuff go and just get to like the essence of who I am. And it's just like, I'm a person that has, you know, the entirety of possibilities within me. Like
Yeah.
I have good parts, I have bad parts, but it's like they're not good or bad. They just make me whole. And I'm learning to accept all the parts of myself and just be like a human.
Good deal.
So,
So if anyone out there wants to reach out, they want to stop smoking, they want to ask questions, hire you, any of the good business, where do they go?
so you can go to my website, honoryourheart.net, and that's where you can buy my book. It's a short book, so it's not like an anthology here, and it's not a memoir, it's a guide. So it's like about you guys. And I'm on social media. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Honor Your Heart is where you can find me there. And yeah, I just would love to talk with you. Like, I have an email, Jessi@honoryourheart.net, and just looking for connection and to support you guys.
This is great, Jesse. Thank you so much for your story. It's so important. I mean, as much as I love smoking, I love talking about how people can get to that point, highlighting what you're doing to get to a different place, because it really does transform your life when you get rid of
Oh,
a nasty addiction. It opens up.
unimaginable. You
Yeah,
have no idea until you do it.
yeah, exactly. It's a great thing. So thank you for the work you're doing. Thank you for talking about it. Have a wonderful 2025.
You too. Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me.
I appreciate it.